So many of you may be asking, what does HR stand for? Human Resources. Where does that belong, right? Human Resources is a department at every company you can think of because they help hire folks, but then they also help fire folks as well. But that's where you get your benefits, your pay, everything, and that's really the heart of a company as well. But what I want to talk about specifically is if you run into any issues within your job and HR has to step in, what do you need to do to prepare yourself so that way you are good? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Number one, you need to know your right as an employee. So if you're not familiar with the policy for your company, that's number one. That's what you need to do. You need to go on your HR's website for your company and just look up the policy for the company itself. Now, if you work for a large company and you're within a department, you also want to know those department policies as well, because those policies dictate your day-to-day, whereas HR's policy is a bigger scheme of policies that involves everybody else. You need to know those two sides. Typically, a lot of us wait until shit hits the fan, to be honest, to look for these policies. If that's the case, at least have it somewhere near you so that way you're able to grab it. If you're one of those people like me that like to be proactive and kind of skim through it to just know a little bit, then do that as well. But it's really important for you to know your rights. Number two, CYA and documentation. CYA, cover your ass. And that's going to be really important because when anything happens and you decide that you want to fight this, you got to start covering yourself. You got to make sure that you're good on your end and that you are hitting all the T's, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. Because when they start looking at you, you want to be able to have that information right back at them, right? When I say documentation, if you get an email and it's a back and forth conversation, print it out, save it somewhere. If it's a phone conversation or if it's a face-to-face conversation, go back home, go back to your office, type up that email to that person and say, per our conversation. So that way they can confirm what you two discussed face-to-face or over the voicemail. That way, if you try to fight it, you have that documentation. Everything you need to do is really important at this point in time because you are fighting for yourself. Another avenue, if you're doing a performance evaluation or even an exit interview, let's start with the performance. That comes around every 6 months or a year. You get that, you look at it, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Some people feel like they cannot say anything, but that is not the truth. You can always do a rebuttal for your performance evaluations. You have to sign it acknowledging that you received it and that you got it, but that doesn't mean you agree with it. So once you get it and you're not happy with it, write your rebuttal. Put in that evidence, that documentation to it, attach it. Talk to HR. Find out, do you have to give your supervisor the rebuttal or can you give it straight to them? Because you got to remember, if you're going to fight for yourself, this means you're going toe-to-toe with the company, okay? And then thirdly, and this is really important, if you decide that you're going to fight for yourself with the company, that is perfectly fine to do. You have to be aware of what you're walking into though when you do that. But also if you decide not to fight and you decide this is not your battle, that's perfectly fine as well. But I will tell you this, once you get that evaluation, once you start getting those write-ups and you're not happy with it and you're not going to say nothing, it's going to start eating you alive a little by little until you either decide to quit or they decide to get rid of you. And if you are the one that want to leave before they get you out, you need to start plotting. You need to start planning your exit so that way you are happy. You need to change how you move and operate in that department so that way you're happier until your time is to go. Okay? So those are the top 3 things that I think you should be aware of. At the end of the day, you decided to work with this company, so it's up to you to make the decision on how you're going to go about this. But just know that I'm here for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to talk to me. Please like, share, and subscribe. But other than that, thank you for kicking it with Ash, and you have a great day.